right, and I believe we are live. Um, it's a pleasure to be here. My name is Ken Fowser. I am a saxophonist, composer, um, booker for the Django Jazz Club, which is in the Roxy Hotel, which is in Tribeca, in New York City. And it's a pleasure to be here and talk with you people out there on the internet and talk to myself about what I do. And thank you for having me. So I've been in New York City for 15 years. I grew up in the city of Philadelphia and came up here for about 15 years ago, and frequently would go out every night to all the amazing jazz clubs that this city has to offer. I used to host the jam session at Smalls, which started at 1:30 in the morning. This was every Tuesday for 4 years. I started at 1:30 in the morning and played until about 4 o'clock in the morning. And that was really a great place to kind of cut my teeth, as they say, and get it together, but also to get to know all the amazing musicians that live in New York City. There would be people like Roy Hargrove that would be coming in after a gig. You know, he would be playing down the street at the Village Vanguard and then pop into Smalls and come up and sit in. I would get to play with people like him, and it just was really a great experience. I also played every Friday the late show at Smoke up on the Upper West Side for about 2 years. So I would play after people like George Coleman and Jimmy Cobb and Cedar Walton. It's a pretty great experience. And all this kind of eventually led me into kind of a more music managing / booking kind of side of things, which when I first set out to be a jazz musician, I never really thought I would be going in that direction, but I enjoy it very much. I enjoy, having some responsibility to bring this amazing art form to people. And the situation I'm in now with the Roxy Hotel has been wonderful. As someone that gets to kind of book and manage, I give my friends gigs and I hang out and listen to them play, and I play there myself. And that's what I do for a living. It's truly incredible. So the Django has been open for about 6 years now. I've been working there for about 4, and we are open 5 nights a week now. It's quite an interesting time to work at a venue during a worldwide pandemic, but I'll get into that a bit later. But I'm very glad that we're back and we're up and running, and New York City almost seems normal again, which is great. It's really refreshing and inspiring to play. I play at the Django every Friday night. I lead my quintet, and I feature a lot of different artists each week to mix it up. People like all different kinds of people. Jeremy Pelt has joined me, Peter Bernstein, Freddie Hendrix, David Hazeltine, Mike Ladon, Willie Jones III, Gerald Cannon. I mean, it's such an amazing city to live in, where all these great musicians are around, and I'm very fortunate to have the opportunity to play with them. So I'm there every Friday, and it's been packed. It's hard to even get a seat. You have to make reservations a few days in advance, which is great. It's really great to see that. We went from being open to 50% capacity, and then we moved to 75% capacity, and now we're finally back to 100% capacity. And I will never take for granted again playing music with live musicians for a live audience. It just the energy that brings. I did a few performances over the pandemic that were audienceless, and it's really weird to play and you finish a solo and just nobody claps. It's very strange concept. By the way, if anybody's out there and you have any questions for me, feel free to type a comment, and I'll do my best to answer and correspond with you. Help me out here, so I'm not just talking to myself for 30 minutes. But anyway, yeah. So the thing that I noticed about coming out of the pandemic is when we were at that 50% capacity, I noticed kind of a change in the clientele that were coming to the Django. It was people that were really thirsty for the music, people that were really appreciative, people that were out and they were really listening. We were only doing one show a night at 50% capacity, and um, it didn't feel like we were half full. It felt like we were completely full, and it felt like people were really loving the music, and it was really great. Okay, here's a message from Gail. Thanks so much for having me, Gail, by the way. She writes, how do you decide to program? What kinds of music works and what kinds of music doesn't work at the Django? Okay, that's a great question. So currently, I try to work within themes, and I try to appeal to different communities within music. So when I say themes, for example, Tuesdays we're open now. We're featuring the Mingus Big Band. Before we had the Mingus Big Band, we were just doing big band. So the theme that night would be big band music. We're very lucky at the Django. The Django is a large venue. We fit about close to 200 people. We have a large stage, and we have a Steinway baby grand piano, and we can actually fit a big band kind of. We have the saxophone section sitting on the floor, and then the trombones and the trumpet and the rhythm section behind. But so the theme of Tuesdays is big band, and it's also kind of like a musician's night too, in a way, because it's earlier in the week. Musicians are a bit more free. They can come, they can hang out. We can get 17, 18 piece big bands, and it's been really incredible to have Mingus. I mean, that Mingus big band is so amazing. So that's one of my proudest moments of things that I've booked. So Tuesdays we kind of feature big bands. Wednesdays we're doing a jazz vocal night. So we feature two vocalists. We have an early show that starts at 7, and then we have the later show. So we feature two different vocalists. Last night we had Benny Benak III play, who's an amazing trumpet player, and also an incredible vocalist. And then we had Lucy Yegazarian. So I try to pick two bands that are kind of complementary yet different. Having a male vocalist to start. For example, I'm just citing last night a male that's more of a crooner, like Frank Sinatra, Mel Torme, and also an instrumentalist, going into a female vocalist that's Lucy Yegazarian is amazing. She's one of my favorite vocalists. She's kind of coming out of Sarah Vaughan, Ella Fitzgerald. It's like I like to think about things that are relatable but have a contrast. I like to keep things interesting. Thursdays we kind of do, the first show is more of like a straight ahead jazz instrumental, piano trios or quartets, and then the main show is a little more of I want to say kind of like a soul jazz kind of thing, a little more party vibes, but still in the realm of jazz, just kind of like high energy. It's Thursday night. As we get into the second set, it's kind of we kind of shift. The first show is more of a intense listening crowd, and then the later show is a little different. Fridays and Saturdays, I have my steady Friday. I didn't even want to give myself a steady Friday, but the owner insisted, so I'm very appreciative of that. But Fridays and Saturdays we kind of mix it up. I mean, we can have anything from like a New Orleans style horn band to straight ahead jazz to more of a modern thing to blues. I mean, I'm talking more like the later show. The first shows are always like real straight ahead listening. Could be modern too. I don't like to say these terms, but you kind of have to a bit. So I try to just think about related variety that makes any sense. Things that complement each other, that are different, that have a contrast but fit well together at the same time. Um, so yeah, we have some pretty awesome shows coming up at the Django in November and December. I have my calendar here. I'll just point out a few of them. Well, first of all, for New Year's, I'm very excited about this booking. I have Lucy Yegazarian, who I just mentioned. She's doing the early show with jazz legend Houston Person. So that should be pretty amazing. They play 7 to 9:45, and then after that, for the main show, we have blues guitarist Solomon Hicks. So that's an extremely different contrast. But I feel like with that booking, I feel like the type of people that come out earlier on New Year's Eve, it's kind of a different clientele than the people that the people that come out from like 7 to 10. They're there for dinner, they're there for listening, they're there for great jazz. And then the crowd that would come out when the ball is dropping is maybe more of a party crowd, maybe a bit younger. That's the great thing about the Django, is that I feel like it just appeals to such a variety of different audiences. Especially younger crowd. There's a lot of younger people that come out for these later shows, and I can tell some of them, they probably never have been to a jazz club before, and it's kind of like a first time experience. So it's pretty great, being like the first club that these people get to experience, and kind of introducing them to jazz. So that's another thing that I think about. And then we have an older clientele, and then I mean there's just people from all walks of life. It's in a hotel, so I mean we get people from all over. It's mostly Tribeca, locals. Okay, here we got Gail says Houston Person is amazing, and so is Solomon Hicks. This is going to be fire. Yeah, very proud of that booking. So let me just check out some of the shows. So this Saturday we have Joe Farnsworth. Joe Farnsworth is one of the people that I try to get in there once a month. The other thing that I think about when I book is I try to give oftentimes monthly rotations to certain people. I think it's good to do monthly as opposed to weekly, because the draw is a bit better. If you're playing every week somewhere, sometimes people, they can say, "Oh, I don't want to come out tonight. I'll see him next week," or "I'll see him next week." So I think once a month is a nice way to really draw some people out, have it be more of a special occasion. But Joe Farnsworth is one of the people that I looked up to when I first moved to town. He's played with everybody. He's played with George Coleman, Cedar Walton, McCoy Tyner, Wynton Marsalis, Benny Golson, Curtis Fuller. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. And I think it's kind of a really cool thing that he's been doing lately. He's been taking on more of a leadership role, almost like a mentorship role, kind of like what Art Blakey was doing. And he features a lot of different people, a lot of young and up and coming musicians, and he changes it up each time that he's at the Django. Last time he was there, he brought a Latin percussionist with him, which was really cool. It was very cool watching those guys trade off. So let me see, what else do we have? We have the legendary Johnny O'Neill is going to be joining us on November 10th as part of the Wednesday vocal series. Johnny O'Neill is another guy that I like to get in there. I mean, they don't make him like him anymore. He's truly incredible, virtuosic piano player, and he's an amazing singer as well. let me see, November 12th, we have Ed Cherry, guitarist Ed Cherry. He's one of my favorite people to book. I mean, he played with Dizzy Gillespie for 10 years. So, I mean, anytime you can get people like this on the stage, some of these, that's the other thing I like to think about too. I like to kind of get a combination of elder statesmen and legends, musical legends in my mind, on our stage. And I also like to get up and coming musicians. Sometimes, for example, on November 11th, I have a very up and coming, great young piano player named Joe Block. He's finishing his master's degree at Juilliard. And he plays as a sideman with a lot of people that I book. So I wanted to give him his own night, and he's really incredible. Jeffrey Miller, great trombonist, also out of Juilliard, is playing that same night. I thought it would be cool to have those two together. Let me see. I have Mike Ladon coming in on November 20th, one of the finest piano players in the world. He's played with everybody as well. He played with Milt Jackson for years. And opening up for him is Mike King, great younger piano player a bit. He can kind of do everything. I mean, he plays with a lot of different modern cats, guys like Theo Croker. He does his own thing. Let's see, do we have any questions coming up? None for now. Okay. Onward. We have Samara Joy coming in on November 24th. That girl is a star. She's truly incredible. I think she won the Sarah Vaughan vocal competition. She's really taking off. I'm really happy to see that. I mean, that she has so much talent. It's hard to even comprehend, but I see that she's I think she was just in Europe, or she's traveling around, and she's playing some jazz festivals, and she's always playing with great people. Okay. Oh, another thing that I think about with booking and themes and all that stuff, but whenever somebody has an album that they're releasing, I try to really get them in there. I think it's a really special thing. Try to do album release parties. Used to say CD release parties, but now nobody can play CDs. So we just stick to albums for the most part. But my good friend Nick Hempton is doing an album release party for his latest album. It's called Slick. It's like an organ quartet kind of thing. He's going to be in on November 26th. I mean, it's really a special thing when you release an album. I know for myself, I have 5 records out on the Positone label, and when I record, everything that I do is an original composition. So it's really like a year's worth of writing and work and performing this music live and getting repetitions and just getting ready for that one day in the studio. It's like you have one shot and you just hope that you have a good day. If you have an off day, it's going to be documented for all eternity. So it's very nerve-wracking. But anyway, it's really great to do special album release shows. Let's see, what else do we have? We have my friend Ty Chris and his group Televana coming in on November 27th. This is something really different. I also find that for these later shows, anything with any form of Latin jazz seems to work very well. That kind of rhythm is very good for the later shows. He has this group, Ty Chris has this group called Televana, which is kind of a combination of his musical influences growing up in Tel Aviv and also Havana, Cuba, where he plays with a lot of great Cuban musicians. So it's this really interesting band that he put together. It doesn't really sound quite like anything. So that's a cool thing to check out. And Yotam Silverstein is playing. Also, he's playing before him. Now that's a great guitarist. He's playing with an organ trio with Brian Charette and Ari Honig. Ari Honig is one of the most in demand drummers out there. So that's November, and then we have some really special shows in December. Obviously, it's good to be aware of when I'm booking. You have to be aware of what month and what part of the year that you're in. So in December, there's going to be a lot of holiday themed shows that I have booked. Sometimes I think about prolific musicians and their birthdays when their birthdays fall, and kind of doing the music of, let's say Miles Davis or John Coltrane. That's kind of cool. I'm not a huge not huge into those kinds of tributes, but I think they're good, and I think they have historical relevance. So let me see. December, we have Sasha Vasandani coming in, one of my favorite vocalists. He does a series where he invites two other vocalists to join him. So it's almost like a vocal jam session when he does it, like an organized jam session. I have Benito Gonzalez coming in, amazing piano player coming out of the McCoy Tyner vibe. He's there on December 3rd, and December 4th we have Craig Handy and Second Line Smith. So this is one of the New Orleans style bands. That's a really cool band. He has an organist, and he has a tuba player and guitar and saxophone. Very cool. That often will get people dancing. On December 8th, I have a new group called Terreno Comum. I don't know if I'm saying that right. It's a Brazilian band featuring Alexia Bontempo. But actually, this is a band that pianist Orrin Evans put together, who Orrin is like one of the most prolific piano players on the scene. I just thought this was such an interesting combination, the way that Orrin plays, and then combining that with Alexia, who's from Brazil. I really like combining different styles of music. Like what I was talking about, I guess the theme of what I'm talking about is just I try to find music that complements each other, but is different. It's something new, something interesting. I think that's very much in the spirit of what jazz is all about. Who is in my quintet? Well, I have a lot of different people. Part of that is because it's good to mix it up, but part of that is because a lot of these guys are working so much. They're out on tour. But the band that I'm going to be recording my next record with, that I try to get, I try to play live with these guys whenever I can, but it's very difficult scheduling it. But Willie Jones III on drums, Gerald Cannon on bass, Rick Germanson on piano, Jeremy Pelt on trumpet, and I'm going to have Peter Bernstein guest on a few tracks. I'm going to be heading into to record that, I hopefully in December, and I'm very excited about that. But I play with all different kinds of people for my regular Friday gig. This Friday, I'm playing for the first time with trumpeter Brandon Lee, which I'm very excited about. It's interesting too, like booking and especially my Friday gigs, and coming out of the pandemic. It's like I played last Friday with Freddie Hendrix. It's like I haven't seen him in a year and a half because nobody's been working, nobody's been gigging. It's really nice. It's like it's such a, if you can go out and catch some shows in New York these days, I highly suggest it, because it's such a it's kind of different. It's like a special vibe. It's like there's this feeling of just like appreciation and love and camaraderie, and it's I don't mean to sound sappy or anything, but it's really a beautiful thing that's happening, and I just feel so appreciative that I have this opportunity to play with the world's best jazz musicians and people that I've come to know as friends. It's really a great thing. Okay, here's another question from Gail. What has producing shows taught you about what artists need when performing at a show? That's a good question. I think I think the vibe in the room is very important. It should be a very welcoming and warm and exciting vibe. And one of the things that I'm doing now at the Django that prior to the pandemic, I was just booking. I wasn't really on site. I wasn't really present in the room unless I was performing. And now I'm there essentially 5 nights a week. And I think it's really good to have someone at any club that is a musician themselves that knows the people, that can be welcoming, and it's very important for the staff to have that same spirit, that same vibe. So I'm in there every day, and we have a team meeting at 6 o'clock, and I talk to the staff a bit about who's performing that night. Sometimes I'll play music from their latest records. It's I view it like if you're serving somebody the finest wine, you should know a bit about it. You should taste it. You should experience it. So and I like see I also managed at Smalls. So I kind of come from the Smalls culture, Smalls Jazz Club in the West Village, and that was more or less a jazz club owned by a musician, by Spike Milner, and pretty much run by musicians. And everybody just knew each other, and everybody just like embraced each other, and it was just this very warm kind of thing. And that's one thing that I'm really concentrating on now, trying to bring to the Django, just a feeling of warmth and appreciation, and a vibe. Vibe is so important. I mean, you don't want to play at a place where people don't treat you well, or they're cold, or they're off doing their own thing, and then the music is just a separate thing. You want it to kind of be a cohesive kind of unit. At least that's how I feel. Those are the gigs that I enjoy doing. I just take a lot of my own experience as a performer and think of what I would like, what kind of situation I would want to be coming into if I was to perform somewhere. Just respect and appreciation, making sure you're paid on time. You get a couple free drinks, um, making people feel good. If you make the musicians feel good, the musicians are going to make the audience feel good. So when I'm there, a lot of times, like it's first time jazz goers that come in there, and it's kind of amazing to me the difference it's made. Not to toot my own horn, but the difference it has made just me being there, like just announcing a band and me just kind of hanging out. And then when somebody finishes the first solo, clapping really loud, hooting and hollering a little bit, letting people know like this is a place that you can come. You're hearing amazing music, and you can show your appreciation, and you can feel good, and put your hands together, and tap your toes, and it's important. That changes the whole vibe. It's amazing, like one or two people clapping and getting really into it will incite the entire place erupting, and that just makes us feel good as musicians. So that's some things that I think about. Wow, I can't believe I've been talking so long. I think we're almost done. There's a few shows in December that this is one of the coolest things that I booked on December 9th. We're doing a tribute to the late Dr. Lonnie Smith. And so the early show that night at 7, it features a band of all guys that had played with Lonnie. It's led by a baritone saxophonist, Jason Marshall. It features Ed Cherry on guitar, Akiko Saruga on the organ, who was kind of like a disciple of Dr. Lonnie, and Jonathan Blake on drums. Jonathan Blake's such a great drummer. And then following that is Ian Hendrickson Smith, who also played with Lonnie quite a bit. Ian's an amazing saxophonist. He also plays on The Tonight Show. I think it's The Tonight Show, The Fallon Show, Jimmy Fallon Show. He plays in The Roots. Used to play with with Sharon Jones and the Dap Kings. He used to play with Amy Winehouse, and he's led a bunch of dates as a leader. He's one of the best saxophone players out there. Oh, we have a holiday show featuring a band called Duchess. One of my friends, Hillary Gardner, leads that. That's a three female vocalist show. They're doing a bunch of holiday themed music that's occurring on December 15th. That's going to be really good. It's like all this amazing 3-part harmony. I can't wait to see that. That's going to be a great show. I have Dave Stryker coming in on December 18th. Yeah, so obviously I'm working with like holiday themes. Yeah, I think I should be wrapping up here. I see my website and the django.nyc.com up there, so you can check that out. And I hope to see you guys. There's a lot of really great music happening in New York. And thank you so much, Gail Boyd, for having me on. It's been a pleasure, and hope to see you soon. Thank you.